My 24F friend, 22M, won't stop asking me out and it's ruining our friend group. What should I do? Apologies in advance cuz this is long. I, F24. I'm a part of a friend group with 3 others: Taylor, F26, James, M22, and Daniel, M22. We all met in college and became very close, but since have moved back to our respective cities and now live very far apart. Daniel is the one who I pose a problem with. Daniel is a self-proclaimed nice guy who isn't actually a nice guy at all. When we met in college, Daniel had a girlfriend, who he broke up with soon after meeting me, and he admitted to other classmates that he left her because of his feelings for me. Daniel then asked me to go to a movie, and I thought it was with the whole friend group, only to find out when we got there that Taylor and James weren't coming, and he had already paid for the tickets and food. He texted me after the movie saying he had a wonderful time and he would like to take me out again. I felt very weirded out getting tricked into going to the theater alone with him. He still continued to ask me out, alone, for months to come, and no, I didn't ever say yes. I made it clear that we wouldn't be going on a date, ever. A few months later, I met a guy, let's call him Sam, and we dated for 3 years. James and Taylor liked him a lot, but Daniel had a huge problem with him for no reason. When I told the group about him, Daniel flipped out, saying that because he was 8 years older than me, he is taking advantage of me. He stormed out of the room on the verge of tears. While I was with Sam, Daniel backed off a lot, and actually got back together with his ex-girlfriend. He never again asked me out, and it was this time that Daniel was a great friend. He managed to suppress any feelings he may have had for me, and our friend group was stronger than ever. Eventually, Sam and I broke up, which was a very amicable break-up, not because we didn't get along or didn't love each other, but because we had very different plans for life. So it was a saddening breakup. I was distraught for a long time. Within 1 month of Sam and I breaking up, Daniel broke up with his girlfriend, again. The 4 of us planned a vacation together. It was mostly to help me move on from Sam. I figured it was safe, Daniel wise, as it had now been 3 years since he last asked me out. 3 years of a great friendship with no mention of romantic feelings. But, when we went on the trip, Daniel made every effort to separate me from the group and be alone with him. He would get drunk and get handsy, like grabbing my knee, touching my back and massaging my shoulders, and I was visibly uncomfortable. I would swat his hand away and laugh nervously. Taylor caught on to this quickly, and tried to get him to stop. To make matters worse, Taylor and James ended up hooking up on this trip, which no one saw coming. This just added fuel to the fire, of course. I met a guy on the trip who I spent the night with, and of course, Daniel saw red. He ended up being very rude to me for the remainder of the trip, calling me slutty and said that I was fetishizing the idea of a one-night stand, if you can even do that. He was making fun of me and making rude comments about Sam. Everyone knew that Sam was, and is, a sore spot for me, so we didn't know why he was even being brought up. Taylor asked James what was going on, and he said we were looking too far into it, and Daniel has never said anything to him about having feelings for me. Since Sam and I broke up, Daniel has delivered me flowers to my house for every special occasion, birthday, Christmas, Easter. I don't ever reciprocate. Basically, Daniel is now weirdly bipolar with me, between rude and overly romantic, and it makes me uncomfortable. Taylor thinks I should cut him off entirely based on how he treated me on vacation, but James sees nothing wrong with his actions, and says that because Daniel hasn't outright admitted feelings for me, I need to just relax. Although he did admit that Daniel was rude on vacation. Also, Taylor thought it pertinent that I mention the fact that I am a part-time model, and Daniel is a bit of a geek. Picture Gunther and Rachel, and no, that's not an exaggeration of our situation. Maybe that makes me sound egotistical, but whatever. My question is what I should do now? I honestly have no interest in ever seeing him or continuing our friendship after how he treated me on our trip. I have turned him down so many times and he keeps trying, and I find it very disrespectful. If I cut off our friendship, the friend group would also fall apart. I would still be friends with Taylor, but I don't know if James would have any interest in continuing a friendship with me, as him and Daniel are so close. I don't want to lose James as a friend. Too long did not read. My male friend has asked me out continuously after rejecting him many times, but if I cut off our friendship, I could lose my friend group which I have valued for years. What should I do? If you lose your friends over a guy harassing you, then they were never really your friends to begin with. James is Daniel's friend and doesn't seem to care how creepy his friend is being towards you. I'd cut them both off TBF. Why in the world was this dude still your friend after the shot he pulled years ago? He's obviously a bit unhinged when it comes to you, and you were made abundantly aware of this fact, and yet you still decided that he was safe. This guy isn't your friend. At your age, once a guy confesses feelings like that, there's no turning it back down to just friends. He's just waiting, and as long as you keep him in your life, he'll keep on waiting. You don't have to be polite about it. Get angry and then tell him he has no claim on you. You'll never be attracted to him and now you never want to see him again. You need to cut Daniel out. You can still be friends with the other two, but Daniel needs to go. He's not and never was your friend, which is made pretty clear by how much he harasses you anytime you're single, shows his lack of respect for you, and then even gets jealous when you're with other men. Ick. I, 27 female. Want to leave my husband, 32 male, because I'm tired of supporting him. Is it okay to leave my husband? My husband and I got married when I was 20. I am now 27 female, and he is 32 male. I'll spare you all the incredibly long story of it all, but to catch you up to speed, my husband is someone who needs to be told to do anything. And this includes finding jobs and going to work. Since the start of our relationship, he's struggled to hold a job. We started dating when I was 19, and I've paid the majority of the bills the whole time. Shortly after we got together, he broke his leg and was stuck at home. He got a settlement from the company he worked for, and just started smoking weed and not working. He lived off the settlement for almost a year. I worked across town at a fast food joint and would commute almost 2 hours each direction by bus. We were homeless once, living in a tent in the woods, and I still was able to work and save up for us to find a place to live. He didn't work almost the whole time, and when he did, he got fired. I've made a lot of sacrifices for our marriage. I've sold my car and other valuables to pay the bills before, while it seems like he does everything he can to keep his material possessions. Fast forward to now, my husband has a part-time job and I've been begging him to please find another job so we can split the bills. I make about $3,000 a month and have been able to finally get a month cushion under me and pay off my debt. I pay the majority, if not all, of our bills. I pay for the groceries. He gives me what he can when he gets paid, but it hardly makes a dent. It feels like every year we sit down and have a huge talk where I beg him to help me. At least with housework, but I have to nag him constantly to do that too. Things never change and I'm starting to feel like an idiot. His smoking really limits his job options in our town if he wants to leave retail, which he does, but he just won't give it up. I've asked him to at least try therapy, which he says he will do but just never even attempts to get an appointment. I know he struggles with depression. Unless I put in job applications for him, or schedule his appointments, he just won't do anything to better his situation. I've worked really hard this past year and I'm starting to think maybe it's time to bail. Besides the money, my husband is very sweet. If I ignore all our problems I can be very happy with him. I'm struggling with guilt because if I leave, he's going to end up homeless. My question is it okay to leave my marriage because my husband has never really been an equal partner? I think of my future and I don't know if this is something I can keep doing forever. It feels like we fight more and more over this, and my resentment is bleeding into other aspects of our relationship. TLDR. Is it okay to leave my husband? I'm 27 female, he's 32 male, and he can't hold down a job. I've supported him our entire marriage and it isn't getting any better. Yes, it's okay. Get out now. You've wasted enough years on this manchild. I'm just sitting here mourning how nice your life could have been at this stage if you weren't with this guy since you were a teenager. You had resources to support yourself and instead went into poverty in order to carry a grown man. Don't dig yourself even deeper in the hole. You can still have a decent life, but not with someone who has no intention or desire to be a true partner rather than a dependent. Sweet isn't enough. Nice isn't enough. You don't need permission to not be miserable. I'm more curious as to why you married him in the first place. But to answer your initial question, yes, it's okay. Weird way to phrase, but you do you. Good luck to you and the loser you described. If I ignore all our problems I can be very happy with him. I guess if we all ignored all of our problems we could all be very happy? My 19F girlfriend thinks she is pregnant from me, 18M. So I, 18M, had some fun with my girlfriend yesterday, but she is a virgin and we come from conservative families so we can't have real sex till marriage. All we did was that she was on my lap while wearing sweatpants and panties underneath them. And I was rubbing my dick against her vag. Keep in mind it was completely covered in 2 layers. She finished and I didn't, so I continued a little bit after she did, and that made her explode and moan so fucking loud. I begged her afterwards to give me a handjob to finish, and after a while she agreed. She gave it to me and I tried my best to finish it quickly so that she could leave on time. Anyway, she arrived at her house afterwards and she told me that she is extremely wet in an unusual way. After a couple of hours she asked me if she could be pregnant, and I told her it's impossible, I didn't release a thing when she was on top of me. Yet she is extremely concerned that she could be pregnant and that I might have pre-ejaculated under her and that my semen traveled through her vag. Afterwards she had a huge transparent discharge with no smell and is eating a lot tofu, so she freaking out and thinks she is pregnant. So should I handle this? And should I be concerned? I am really busy with this as I have tons of work to do, but I have to comfort her and I don't want her to be concerned or scared. Should I be concerned? Yes or no? Update. Please chill you all, we are not from the US and this is not fake karma story as one comment said. I don't even use this app that much because I am busy. Second of all, it's so rude to call her names and /TF out of us for just asking for a way to handle this, or should I do nothing, that's all. She is in fact in med school in her first year. And she absolutely knows for sure that this is impossible, but yet she is freaking out and this is driving me crazy, so I posted for your opinions here and I want to thank all the kind Redditors who gave me helpful comments. She is not pregnant and it's not possible that she is from y'all's interaction. This is precisely why I think sex education is an important class that should always be taught. Not a swing at you op, just a general comment. That's not how sex works. Implantation takes between 8–9 days after conception. She likely was just turned on or squirted. And sometimes discharge just does weird things for no reason. You don't just have sex, conceive, them have symptoms the very next day. Especially when there were layers involved. There really needs to be a specific sub for these 18-year-olds and their questions face with rolling eyes. She's not pregnant. Well, not by what you both did. She needs to get sexual education. And birth control. And masturbate. She will probably understand better why she is wet down there. That's not how it works. You two need to learn a few things before you do end up pregnant. Been together almost 8 years, 43 female, 39 male. And just found out he considers his ex his soulmate. I've been with my boyfriend for almost 8 years now, lived together, have a child together, he's raised my other child and he and I have been trying for another. We also have plans of getting married. He talks about it all the time, but my ringer finger has cobwebs, and buying a house together. Here's my situation. He's only had 2 GFs before me. But since we've been together, it has never failed that his family continually bring up his first girlfriend every time we get together, and they keep pictures of him and the ex in family photo albums. He's assured me when we first got together that he has no lingering feelings for her and that it's been years since they've been together. It came up because she happens to be his best friend's sister. So I've never let it show it bothers me even though it does. Never let then see you sweat mentality. Only recently, a couple days ago, I was watching 90 Day Fiancé when a female on the show had told her fiancé that she didn't feel like he was her soulmate but expected him to accept it and marry her. I thought it was absurd and talked about the situation to him and how crazy I thought that was when he dropped the bomb on me that he feels his first girlfriend was his soulmate and not me. It was a punch to my gut to say the least. I immediately told him how shocked I was finding this out and he apologized the next day, which didn't make me feel any better. Instead I told him this changes everything for me and no longer want to continue trying for another baby. I feel like I need to run and save myself from future heartbreak, it's my first instinct. I'm just heartbroken and in shock. If I would have known this 8 years ago I would have never invested my time. I feel lost now. Am I overreacting and stick it out? Or is this a red flag for heartbreak down the line? Definitely a red flag for heartbreak. 8 years and he's just letting the cat out the bag. Run as far as possible because even his family has a hand in this by not respecting your relationship. To admit you are not his soulmate is devastating enough, but to say a ex is, that's pretty low. A man should make his significant other feel like she's the most important person in the world to him, but he made it seem like you are on borrowed time or you just filled a void. Wow. If at any point she calls him, he will. You will always be his second choice. While I don't really subscribe to the soulmate stuff, he has made one thing clear. That a part of him will never let her go. Not entirely shocking. His family have built a creepy cult to her and in that sense he just toes the line on it. And yeah, I guess you have to reflect on a life with a guy that has apparently never been truly open with you and, in my eyes, has never really reflected on his feelings in a healthy way. I mean, as noted, I don't believe in soulmates, and part of the reason is because it feels like any time I hear someone mention them it is as a way to vindicate not letting go of someone or moving on. If she came back right now and wanted him, he would leave you without a second thought. There are so many red flags here, girl. I know you've been with him for 8 years, but run for the hills, baby.